But let's finish off the panel talking about the game this weekend against Chelsea. Well, not specifically about the game, but a moment in the game where we're going to see at the beginning where Maurizio Pochettino returns to the club. And I'm not sure if either of you are going to the game, but let's say you are going to the game. How would you react when Pochettino walks out of that tunnel? We'll start with you, Barnaby.
So I'm hoping to go to the game. I've had a little whisper from a mate of mine who owns a big company who has a box. He reckons he might be able to get me a seat. So let's see about that. But secondly, I think it might depend how many beers I've had.
If you've had no beers, what you reacting, and then go to past 5 beers.
I think if I've had no beers, I think I'd actually be respectful because I love Poch. I love what he did for the club, and I really think he was almost given no option but to go to Chelsea because, and this is my opinion, you might disagree, but he was flirting with Spurs so hard at the back end of last season in the summer with all those, I'm playing golf with the Spurs legends again for the 19th time and all that stuff. And Levy took a very difficult decision not to call him, I think. And I think at the time, a lot of us were like, oh my God, like that is brave of Levy. This, you're making a rod for your own back. But I think Levy saw something in Ange when he met Ange. It was like, I believe this guy. This guy is totally believable and likable and clearly worth a punt. So I don't think it was Poch's fault that he didn't come back to Spurs. Do I think he should have gone to Chelsea? No. But do I also think he had many other options? No. Actually, what I'm gutted about for him is that if he had just waited a bit longer, bear in mind he'd waited a year already, I think he might have been about to get the Man United job. I think Ten Hag might be on even bigger borrowed time now if Poch was available. So, in answer to your question, no beers, I'll be respectful, and then a few beers, I think I might just join in, and I think it might be a bit spicy. I do. I think it might be a bit spicy.
So you think that the general consensus from the fans will be negative towards him?
I think there'll be enough to make it spicy. I think there'll be a lot of people who won't boo, but I think there'll be enough who will, that it'll make it uncomfortable for him. And I think just the fact that it's a Chelsea game under the lights, we're top of the league, they're struggling. I think the fans, even the fans who don't want to boo Pochettino, will want to make it as difficult for Chelsea as possible. And that will start from the moment they come out to warm up and carry on when they come out the tunnel and when Pochettino comes out. So there you go.
It's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Because I'm hearing like different murmurings from different sections of the fan base, where a lot of them being like, oh, he's Chelsea manager. I'm definitely going to boo him. You can't cheer an ex-Spurs player or manager that's gone over to play for Chelsea or manage Chelsea. 100% booing. And then on the other hand, I'm hearing, well, he did so much for the club. I can't do anything but show my respect to him and clap him when he comes out. But then I'm hearing another section being like, you know what? I'm just going to ignore him. I'm not going to boo. I'm not going to cheer. I'm just going to act like he's not there and he's dead to me, or, stuff like that. Where's your head at, HG?
I think it comes down to how much you hate Chelsea, if I'm honest. Because I've not lived in England for 20 years, right? So that whatever rivalry we had for Chelsea didn't really exist when I was there. And so it's weird to watch it from afar. I don't have the same hatred for Chelsea that I do for Arsenal. I hate West Ham more than I do Chelsea. So, but if I imagine Pochettino coming back as manager of West Ham or as manager of Arsenal, I'm booing him. There's no doubt in my mind I'm booing him. So I think that's where it comes from. Like, yes, he did great for Spurs, but if you really hate Chelsea, and so many Spurs fans really do, then you will boo him. And it's not even him you're booing, it's the fact he is now associated with Chelsea. It's Chelsea who you're booing. He comes back with Southampton or with Bournemouth or wherever, no one boos, right? It is all due to the fact that he's at Chelsea. So if I was there, I don't think I would boo. I mean, I wouldn't clap him either. It's just because my focus is on Spurs. That's got to be the focus. Pochettino, frankly, is a bit of a sideshow in this one. And the fans need to concentrate on Spurs winning, and the players need to concentrate on that. And Pochettino being the manager of the team we beat is irrelevant as long as we win the game.
I don't know. It's a bit like the Terry Wainbridge will they, won't they handshake, isn't it? Will they, won't they boo? It's got that kind of feeling to it.
I want to know your opinion. I don't know if either of you remember this moment, but in the early 90s, Glenn Hoddle came back to White Hart Lane as manager of Chelsea. I was a bit too young to remember it, so I don't know if either of you know or remember him coming back to White Hart Lane and what the reception was from the fans.
I think it fits in a bit with what HG was saying, though. I think the rivalry wasn't nearly as bad then. I mean, I know I've asked a few Chelsea fans. I know that the rivalry supposedly comes back from like the 80s and the 70s and the firms and stuff. But it's definitely ramped up for some reason over the last 15, 20 years, because around the era of, dare I say it, the Sol Campbell signing for Arsenal and whatever, it was all Arsenal. It wasn't about Chelsea then. It really wasn't. And that, I guess, I think it's ramped up since Abramovich, because we look over there and they're like, wait, they were way below us before the certainly before they got Vialli and under the latter days of Matthew Harding, Ken Bates, etc. So yeah, I know that Hoddle was manager there. It didn't seem, I'm old enough to remember it. What was that, 94, they got the cup final with Hoddle. I was like 13, 14. It just didn't seem as big a thing back then. But now I do think it'll be huge. But I know what HG's saying, because West Ham obviously terrible as well. So I don't know.
So the thing is, like, I'd have been at that game, right? I had a season ticket then, so I'd have been at the game, and I don't really remember much about. Like, I know that weirdly enough, Chelsea came to Spurs then, and it was Sol Campbell's debut, and they beat us. That would have been 92. Because I remember walking out early, so I didn't see Spurs score. My mum killed me for it. I think a few years after that, Chelsea thrashed us, and I remember sitting in the Paxton Road End for that one. So it's I don't know, but I don't. The rivalry was nowhere near that bad. And to be fair, at that point, I don't really even think there was a rivalry with West Ham either. It was very much Spurs hate Arsenal, Arsenal hate Spurs, and London teams, you want to beat them, but the level of Spurs and Chelsea, it was kind of irrelevant at that point. Neither one of us was particularly good in the early 90s and the mid 90s. Chelsea had a bit of money, but Spurs has had money. I mean, like getting to the cup final again. It'd only been 3 years or 2 years since we'd been to the cup final and won it ourselves.
It wasn't our money then, though, was it? We may have had money, but it wasn't actually our money.
Yeah, that is true.
It was Irving Scholar's fake money.
Yeah, quite. I just like it's a rough one, but Hoddle going to Chelsea never felt like the deal with the devil that Pochettino going there has seemed to be. Because Hoddle was the club legend that played for 13 years. Like, there's very little that Hoddle would have done for Spurs to be like, oh, we'll forget that, right? Pochettino, sadly, had Pochettino left, we got to the Champions League final and it hadn't worked out, people would have been like, okay, well, sucks that you're going, but, thanks for everything. But because he stayed that 3 months longer, and people would start remembering that we'd actually been bad for 12 months, like that affects things too. But I do think if you hate Chelsea, you will boo. It's that simple. And if you don't hate them as much, then you'll be a bit more respectful is the wrong word, but you'll appreciate what Pochettino did.
Is there a case to say that maybe we boo before the game and then maybe cheer him after the game after we've tonked them?
I think it has to be the opposite. I don't know.
If he comes onto the pitch after the game and we've beaten them 4-0, I'll happily cheer him.
Not going to cheer him if we lose, though, are we?
If we lose, no. If we beat him, though.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
If we beat them 3 or 4-0, then we just start singing Agent Pochettino, and that's it. That's all we need to do. Right? Because if Pochettino goes there and loses consistently, surely that makes him still a Tottenham hero.
I would love to see Spurs being 3-0 up in that second half and the whole stadium, a massive resounding, he's magic,
That would be
great.
That would be brilliant. And also possibly like his death warrant as Chelsea manager.
I think for me, I wouldn't boo him. I would, even though he is Chelsea manager. I obviously don't like Chelsea. I think my appreciation and love for Pochettino supersedes my hate for Chelsea, whereas if he was Arsenal manager, my hate for Arsenal would supersede my hate of my love and appreciation for what Pochettino did, so it would be a different case. I don't like Chelsea, but I maybe don't hate them as much as other people. And also considering the fact that it's his first time back at Tottenham since he's been sacked, we never really got to say goodbye or anything, did we? We never really got any, like, I wouldn't say closure, but we never really got to show our appreciation for him after being sacked in any moment. So this is the first time you have that. So I would like a little moment at the beginning of the game.
With a Chelsea badge on his chest?
Even with a Chelsea badge on his chest. But I'm all for, as soon as the game starts, you're getting sacked in the morning, he's tragic, it will bring it all out. I don't really care. Throw it at him, whatever you want. I would like, considering it's his first year, I'm saying maybe like next year, if he's still in a job, like if he comes back next year, you give him give him hell, like it's whatever. I just think the very first time we're going to see him since he's been sacked, I would like to see a little moment just of acknowledgement of the good job he did for Tottenham and you know how much we appreciate it. But I just think literally that, but I think any other time, I'm happy for it to be a spicy atmosphere or whatever.
I'm with Ben. That should happen at 3-0 up, and I think that would be one of the most brilliant shit-housing moments in football.
And do it 3-0 up.
The whole fan chant his chant at 3-0. That would be so brilliant.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
just we want you to stay ringing around the stadium. But like if you get like, it's funny that the away coaches obviously park in that corner of the ground and they have to walk past the goal. They have to walk past a bunch of home fans to get kind of into the stadium. That if someone was that inclined, they could go there and make it almost a walk of shame to begin with. Like people get into the stadium that early to buy their beer and whatever, but you could get a whole bunch of Spurs fans who literally will stand there and they could yell abuse at him. I'm not saying I would, but if you're there, those players, they have to make that walk behind.
What
the
time
goal.
would that
So
be,
it's,
HG? I need to know.
90 minutes before the game starts, probably.
But it just doesn't sit right with me that anyone would cheer him before the game starts. I just don't think that should be a situation. After the game, maybe, if we had won. But for someone coming to the Spurs Stadium in a Chelsea tracksuit to come and try and beat us, it just doesn't sit right with me to cheer him, whoever you are, to be honest. So Pochettino doesn't get that leeway, in my opinion.
For me, he does.
All right, but
I don't have that. I have a bit of animosity for Chelsea. I'm saying if it was Arsenal, I'd fully agree with you. Chelsea, I don't like them, but my hate for them isn't that intense.
Pochettino was the one that came out and said Chelsea are our biggest rivals. It's not Arsenal.
Yeah, because they were, footballing wise, they were.
And he's gone there. And look,
Battle of the Bridge for me.
Yeah,
I was sat in the fucking Chelsea end for the Battle of the Bridge. That was a difficult night. That was a difficult night.
Yeah, and look, I don't blame him for going there because that was his probably only option on the table, and he was, like Barnaby said, he was flirting with Spurs the whole summer, and we didn't take him up on the option, and we went for Postecoglou. And to be honest, I'm much happier that we have gone for Postecoglou over Pochettino, the return of Pochettino, by the way. But the fact of the matter is, he's a Chelsea manager now, and he's the enemy, and that's what it boils down to.
Do you guys think he's obviously he's struggled a bit? Do you think he's in a bit of trouble, or do you think he's maybe going to have the patience of the Chelsea board?
I think I'll just go very briefly. I think anybody managing there would be in trouble at the moment. I think he's doing as good a job as he possibly could. I mean, I watched their matches and I don't have a clue who half those players are. And I don't doubt that they're incredibly talented youngsters. Like my cousins are Chelsea fans, they don't have a clue who they are either. And basically it's all good. It's all well and good buying the most talented youngsters in Europe and the world, but you can't put them all in at the same time. Anyone who plays Football Manager knows that. You literally you can't. You have to bed them in with experience and knowledge of the league and all of that kind of stuff. So I think he's actually doing a fine job there, but Chelsea fans are idiots, so they will try and hound him out if he doesn't get them up the table soon.